I'm going to try to study the FileSystemDock today, but I decided to move the folder from where I had uh, the source code, and then I had some problems because it seems that there is an option that ChatGPT told me about, which you can use the flag /c with scones to clean everything from the build system. But the problem is that if you change the directory, then you had a compiled version before. Because scones caches everything, I think that a lot of the files, the library files, they need the location of the build to work or something like that. Because when I changed the directory, the debugger wasn't working. And there's also probably stuff related to VS Code as well. So I spent some time now trying to figure out, and using the flag, the /c flag didn't work fully, so I have to manually delete some of the files. The last ones that I deleted are the library files from the platform, the Windows platform, which is where the files for the build are at, basically this path here. So right now I'm using Windows, so the files that I had are here because the build is for Windows. But I imagine that if you're doing compiling for other operating systems, it's gonna be on the other folders here. And just before I didn't compile or didn't delete the library files here, it wasn't working with the debugger launch.json. And just now, just before I started streaming today, I deleted the files, and then now it seems to be working. The only problem now is that I lost the breakpoints that I had, but that's not that big of a deal. But I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna work or not, so we'll see. So if something breaks, I might have to spend a bunch of time trying to figure out what to do. And I'm gonna have to, but I think I'm gonna do this after streaming today, but I'm gonna probably move this thing as well, this path where the projects are at, to the new folder that I created. And the reason why I decided to change is because I think that's now I already have something, I already decided kind of what I want to do. So before I was just doing a bunch of folders and files to study and do a bunch of things. So it got very like noisy with on the folder directory in the path there should go to the project. So I wanna put everything on a cleaner place, so it's easier to. Right now I'm putting here, so I'm probably gonna move the folder with the projects here as well. So I have just the source code, the steps, and the projects. I think that's a lot better. But it is kind of annoying though that every time that you change the directory, you have to remember where, or I have to delete manually everything. Seems kind of weird. So I might put a question on Discord, see if anyone knows how to solve this or a better way, besides using the /c flag. It seems that it's working now, so hopefully it works. I'm gonna put the breakpoints. A downside, like I said, is that I lost the breakpoints, but whatever. I'm gonna find the file system. And right now, it's becoming a little bit more clear on how it works. So you have the FileSystemDock. The FileSystemDock class is a class that manages it creates it's like the class that puts the pieces together, but the class that is responsible for like the back end, I think, the functionality when it comes to the operational system is the editor file system. So the FileSystemDock uses the editor file system to deal with some functionality, and it uses the file system list, I think, or something like that. But I think that the file system list is more related to the visualization of the stuff. So it has additional logic to deal with the visualization of the files on the dock. And the editor file system is the class that is responsible for managing what is gonna happen under the hood and to connect to the editor node as well. And the editor file system has the editor file system directory, which is that other class that I was looking at before, which seems to be the class that manages both files and directories, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to investigate now. And I did the beginning of the class, but I didn't put anything because I think it's probably better to start from the, try not to copy everything and just do the beginning. But it is kind of annoying because I have to clarify, this class here is the one that is probably responsible for, or has the logic to deal with the files and folders. The annoying thing, so first I need to make sense of the structure of everything, and then I have to think about what way can I do, because the easiest thing to do obviously is just to try to copy all the classes and then just register them on the on ClassDB so I can use. But I don't think I can get away with this because it seems that it's very, not very, but there's a lot of stuff that is related to the editor node only. So I think it's just gonna be kind of spaghetti codes if I just transfer everything without thinking. So I have to, and this is kind of the hard part, is figuring out what functions, how to decouple the functions so I can have a template that I can start with and then I can move on to the other stuff. And also the other thing that I figured out since last time, I just searched for the tooltips of the stuff that happens on the output there, on the editor, and now I understand it happens through plugins. So we have the bottom panel, which is the stuff that is the dock that is below the visualization that shows the outputs. And on the editor node constructor is going to directly create the first element of the panel, which is the outputs, and the outputs is the editor log class. And then on the debugger, which is the other tab from the bottom panel, is added through a plugin. And the name of the class is editor debugger node, the class that is responsible for creating that stuff. So that's another thing that I'm gonna look into now. Not now, but after I'm done with the FileSystemDock. So no, this is basically just the tree class. The tree class, I'm 100% sure that is gonna be the class. I don't know to what extent, but it is the class that is responsible for creating the visualization. And the reason why I don't know to what extent is because they have the other class. So it wouldn't make sense to have this one and the other one if this one handled everything. But I've seen the tree class, which is the one that this inherits from, in a bunch of other places. So it's on the inspector dock, on the scene tree dock. So it's the class that creates the folder structure, the visualization of the folder structure. And it creates, from that class you create tree item, so it's a composition approach. And the tree item is the thing that contains the data for each cell of the folder structure. So it's basically this one, file system. This is the main thing that I'm trying to clarify now. So what exactly is the responsibility of this? Because it's kind of confusing. But I think this is more related to the visualization of, organizing the visualization of the pop-ups and stuff like that. Comes to each file, and the editor file system is the one that actually has the main functionality. So for what I'm trying to do is probably gonna be, try to remove, I'm gonna have to create another class, I think. So I should probably start with but the problem with starting with the editor file system is that it's very dependent on the thing that I'm gonna do. So that's kind of the issue. Because I don't know for sure. I don't know if it's the best idea to start with I think ideally the dock would be able to, it would serve, the way that I was imagining is that it serves as a template. And then, but I want to avoid doing the object-oriented paradigm. So kind of like a template, but not really. So that's the way that I'm thinking about it. So this is kind of part of the problem, I think. The reason why it's hard is because for me to be able to build the thing, I need to think about what kinds of things I'm gonna use. So I need to extract the stuff that's probably common across any type of file system we're gonna use, and then uh, create the classes from that point. So I'm gonna put some breakpoints. I think the open file I wrote down here. This is another one I fast changed. This one I remember when I was studying the export pipeline. So I know that this is gonna be integrated somehow with the editor as well. Because I remember that this gets called at some point. I think on the process, notification process of the editor node, I think is they constantly check for changes or something like that. And then one of the functions called this one, or is on this one that. No, so maybe I'm confusing. There might be a similar name on the editor node, similar function. I do remember there is a function on the editor node that they say that is a hack. That they put some stuff on for the export logic there. So let's see. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. But I know that there is a function here that is the scan. So they use the editor file system, this class here, to scan the directory. And that scanning is the thing that checks for changes, as far as I understand now. It's one of the functions here. Oh, the other thing that I was looking at is that they initialize on the constructor there the current path to the RAS folder. But because I'm not going to do this, I'm probably going to have to, in the way that the thing that I'm going to create something similar to VS Code, which is if you don't have any directory opened since last time you used, it just displays a button to open the folder, which is probably what I'm going to do. And then I have to figure out a way to save the state of the thing. And from what I've seen on other tutorials, it seems that they use the config file. So I'm probably going to look into the editor pipeline, because I know that they have some stuff there to save the editor settings in the beginning. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I know that they have. So I'm probably going to do something similar to what they do. You cache the state, and then on the constructor of the class, you just get from that state. You use the config file to try to access the path if it doesn't exist. The thing that is confusing to me is about the final executable when it comes to the paths. Because if you're using paths relative to the project that you have, then how does it work? And this might be another annoying thing when I move the projects to the other folder. It might break other stuff because of the cache. But I think the easiest way to solve is probably just delete the cache folders or files. The problem is that the Godot caches both on the project folder and on the app data. And there's two paths that it caches on the app data. One is on the roaming and the other one is on the local. I think the local one is the one that they put caches and stuff like that. Yeah, so this folder here. But obviously I don't want to delete everything to not break a bunch of stuff. But maybe I'll have to at some point. If it doesn't work there when I move the projects. So this one, which is local, they put the cache, and the other one they put the configurations of the projects. So it looks like this I'm pretty sure that is the editor settings cache. So they're saving on the roaming path, which I think is a standard path to save. And this is the projects that I created so far, I think. Should probably delete this stuff. Yes, whatever. Whatever. So there's the one that I wanted to look at is the file option, I think. Yeah, file option. I think the file option function is the one that the one that runs after you click a file there. So after when you right click on the file, it opens up the pop-up which they create on this class, obviously. And then when you click on one of the options, it's going to call this file option function, and it calls based on the enum that you pass when you are adding the item to the pop-up menu. And this fall through here, I didn't know, but I studied. So the way that this works is basically I think it's attributes, the name on C++. Whenever you put this square brackets here twice and you wrap the stuff on square brackets, it's like an attribute that allows the compiler to have some hint of how the thing is gonna work. So I think the most used is probably no discards. And there's another one, I think, that I forgot. But no discards obviously telling the compiler that it should break the compilation if you don't use the value. And I think there is one about a change or something, but this one is basically saying that whatever happens on this one, continue going to the next one. So it basically, in the normal situation, it goes to the option and then it breaks out of the switch and then continues the execution. But if you put the fall through, it's just gonna go over the next option that you have. So it's not gonna go out of the switch. It just keeps going after if you put this fall through here. So imagine that they are doing this so that they call this function and then later they still call the file option because it's gonna fall through whenever you have this stuff here. Well, this is the main, so I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. And this one I'm pretty sure that it is what happens because of this option here. This is when you select to open the project open the file on the project folder. So it calls the OS to open the directory. It's pretty interesting. And there's another one that I was looking at. There's also it's probably to open the file there. So this was the other one that I was looking at. This one is, I'm pretty sure, is when you right click on the file and then you set that file to be the main thing. So this is on the project.godot file, which is the file that has the configurations for the project. It is on the root of the project. And there's a section, which is the application section, and then there's this path here, which is a string with the value being the path to the main scene file of the application, which is the one that is gonna run when you run the project. So the main scene file is the main, the one that opens when you open the project. So it saves the settings. And I'm pretty sure that this update tree here is the one that creates the tree for the first line. And the uncollapsed paths is if you open the project before and there are folders that are opened, then they will probably be cached here. I'm not really sure how yet, but pretty sure that this is how it works. And then it calls the update tree at the first time to create the tree. So update tree is going to call create tree, which is the... I was looking to this one because of this stuff here. So I think this is related to it's related to the files. So I was trying to understand how this works. Put a breakpoint here as well. It does seem that the files is responsible for just setting up or managing the cells. Maybe just pop-up stuff. Item list no, item list. I think item list is from pop-up. The tree is from tree item is from tree. Item list is from the pop-ups. So the files is probably the ones that create the pop-up, the options. I'm pretty sure that this is probably the difference. So files is for creating the pop-ups, the logic for the pop-up. Because of the functions that it connects to, I'm pretty sure that this is the case. And then this one is going to be the one that the editor file system. So this one is a member variable of the editor file system. So this is the one that the editor node is going to use to deal with the functionality of the folders and files. And then the editor file system, the editor file system is the main one, and then it uses this one. And the other one's probably for this connects. Yeah. So item clicked. And because this one is gonna call the file option, I think it should be the one that is responsible for creating the logic for the pop-up menu. I should look for the stuff actually. Let me see if I can open, because I haven't tried on this new folder to open this. So let me think. Imports maybe. Official. Let's Vortex. Seems. So I'm gonna see if I can look into the options there. Then I'm gonna search the options here and remember. But I guess I can go into the file option and then just look for the and that's probably easier. File list pop up. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna be something like that. It's related to pop-up menu. So probably the pop-up menu is created by the other class, but then the functionality from the pop-up menu is from the file list. So let me search for. Yeah, so these are the options here. So this class is the one that creates the pop-up menu. So it's not correlated, but it's not the one that creates. I'll go back to. File list pop-up. On this. And so based on this, the files are probably so I'm not really sure. It's kind of maybe the files are the files is the class that creates the. But the problem is that the tree should be the one that creates the visualization. So, but maybe there's additional logic for the visualization. Let me see which class it inherits from. File system list. Where's an item list? Pop-up editor. Yeah, so it is pop-up. It is definitely related to the pop-up, but I'm not really sure very well how. Pop-up editor. Editor submits. Item edits. I think just setting functionality. So probably the tree stuff there creates the visualization, and then this one adds functionality. So connects to the signals and adds functionality. That's probably how it works. I figured out how to do this. So basically, I decided to change. I realized, so I stopped trying to figure out. I was going to figure out how to change the scroll container so I can do what I was trying to do, but then I realized that there might be situations, or depending on the way that this evolves, that some of the docks it's probably better to not put a scroll container, and some of the docks might be better to have. So it should probably be better to have as a default, but then also have the option to remove if I want. And then because of that, I thought that it makes more sense to put the scroll container as part of the icon sidebar. The reason why I didn't think about this in the beginning is that it feels kind of unnatural to do this because like the purpose of the icon sidebar is one thing, and then feels like the scroll container should be like another thing. But I do think it makes sense because it's like you're wrapping the target node that you're gonna put the content on into into the scroll container, so that like you always have something that is reliable. So I do think it makes sense, at least for now, to create the scroll container and couple that with the icon sidebar content or the icon sidebar uh, class. And then on the functionality of the icon sidebar, I wrap the nodes, the content node, which is the one that is related to the icon, into the scroll container. And then basically the way that is going to determine whether or not it shows the bar on here is going to be based on the delta of the parent with the child. So the parent of the scroll container with the child of the scroll container. So as soon as you have as soon as the child's minimum size exceeds the parent's minimum size, then it's gonna show. I think because like the range, like, obviously like you're gonna change the width based on the split container. So the range is gonna be on that delta, and that's gonna be equivalent to the spread you see on the scroll container. Yeah, so if they both have the minimum size, then obviously it's going to be the same size. But if the minimum size from the parents is smaller than the minimum size from the child, the delta is going to be the difference here. And it seems that it is working now, so I'm going to leave it like this. I was going to look into the options, but now I already saw there. Status amazing. But it's probably good to search so I can see. I'm pretty sure it's gonna add with the add item or something like that. Yeah, add icon item. So this is the pop-up. This is the class that creates the pop-up there, and it's probably gonna be a child of the pop-up or the menu bar or something. And then the enum that it puts here is going to be the thing that they use as an index to save this on the pop-up menu class. And that's how it's able to know, because once they emit the signal from the pop-up menu, it's going to emit based on the index that you use to subscribe here. So the callback function that they connect with the pop-up is the one that has the switch statement to do the control flow based on the whatever we put here. It's basically connecting the functionality with whatever enum you put there. But I think that this is a bit mask, so they're doing the bit mask end here with this value. The file type is of packaging. They end with this. Also, I think it's checking to see if the current file is what is the path. I have to see what is this. If all the files are scenes, then it's gonna be true. If not, then it's gonna be false because of the flag. So I guess it makes sense to determine the options that it's gonna put there based on the type of the file. Probably gonna have to do this differently though. So I'm gonna try to get the idea and like just remove all the control flow, just puts the one pop-up menu with the options and then start from that point. Because it's gonna depend on whatever I wanna do there. I'm probably gonna look into the options from here. Like open to the side, open with. Copy. This is weird. So it doesn't have anything. So it's gonna depend on how it uses this function, I think. Tree pop-up. Yeah, so I do remember that I went over this not that long ago. File list. This one is the one that is connected to the file system or file list. Paths. Yeah, files. So it's getting the paths from the files. And then it's passing here. So the file list pop-up is the one that creates the pop-up for the files. And the files is the class that's gonna manage the logic for the selection. So I think that the sync tree, whatever, a file system tree creates visualization of files others. Then file system list as logic of files. Then it does feel kind of, for the stuff that I'm trying to do, maybe it's possible to simplify there. So yeah, I think file list pop up. I don't understand why so many pop-ups. It's gonna pass from here. Special classes. So those are the only two ones there. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. Breakpoint here. This one is called based on shortcuts. There's a GUI input, I think. And so it's probably gonna be based on the GUI inputs. Tree again selected. This is probably for managing when you click, when you select a file, probably runs this at some point. I'm pretty sure that this was gonna, because this is gonna get whatever, it gets the roots here. Get next selected. So it's getting the file from the tree that was selected. I think that I don't understand is why have file system. So I need to draw the distinction between file system list and the tree. So, don't remember if I put breakpoint here. So what I wanted to see, on the other function there, need to go back. Yeah, I think that the signal is connected on the pop-up menu, so I don't need to connect here. But maybe, I'm not really sure about this though. I think maybe you need to connect. So this is way to figure out. So you do need to connect here. So the other one should have the files connect item. File list pop up. So this is just gonna call the file option. Selected. So files is integrated with the other pop-up. So I'm pretty sure that these ones are gonna be the ones that. So the file list pop-up is the one that opens when you right click, and then the file list is the one that manages the files. Manage selection. And then how are these two connected with the? How are they connected with the file tree? That's good. So this is the class here that they tell you to use to save settings. So obviously assume that it's going to be something related to this. And it's probably like this that you, or something similar to this, that you do. Instantiating is calling the constructor of this. Then they load, so this is for loading import files. Let me look into the signals that the tree connects. I should put so update tree and create tree have to put a breakpoints on both of them. So, Twitter. Mainly trying to figure out how this is related to the file system list, if it is related at all, or to the other class there for the pop-up. And this one I just looked into. So if it's different than favorites, he's gonna see if it's an import. He's gonna do this stuff. This checks to see if it's a scene. This stuff I'm probably gonna have to. So this is the kind of things that talking about. That's like I'm probably not gonna. It doesn't make sense for me to incorporate this stuff because it's just related to the functionality of the editor node. So I have different functions for dealing with different types of files. I'm gonna put a breakpoint on this function. Also here there is a connection, but it's not very direct. As I assume they have to be connected at some point because they're gonna be like if the file system tree is the one that creates the visualization, then they should be connected by the indexer somehow, like that. So that one is responsible for the functionality, the other one for the visualization. But maybe it's not correct the way that I'm thinking. Pretty sure here there is a connection as well. I think it's more to the ends there. So here goes. I think that's. Oh, so the only place that calls creates tree is this one, and then it calls itself recursively inside of the function as well. And then it passes this file system, which is the file system directory. And I think on the create tree, maybe it connects both of them. It's gonna use the files. View the list of files to display. Oh, but it's not the same. There's another. Is the struct, I think, inside of the FileSystemDock. So it doesn't connect this with the other stuff at any point. See the main thing that is used, so the main connection is between the file system tree and the editor file system. So the editor file system directory is the thing that's gets the directory and manages the directory. and then it uses that to create a visualization based on the file system tree. So maybe the file system list is only related to the pop-up. Pretty sure that initializes probably later here. Initialize the pop-up here. This is when you click. So this is when you select a cell, probably. Oh, I think I understand why there's probably why there's multiple. Let me see if yeah. So there's probably this one that shows the information. Then there's the other one that shows the options here. So I think that the one that shows the information is this one because of the rights. Not really sure now. No, because this is probably for selecting. So when you select, it changes the both changes the color here and probably changes the state of the cluster. But I'm pretty sure that this is gonna have another thing there that shows the information, just the pop-up. So that's probably the three pop-up stuff there. Not 100% sure about really. So I should put a breakpoint. But I guess that these kinds of things don't matter very much because it's gonna be easy to figure out once I translate each thing. Because whatever pop-up I don't put there, then I'm gonna be able to see all my stuff if it doesn't show anything. I'm more concerned with the understand the connection between file system list and the other classes. That's the main thing that I wanna clarify now. And the tree pop-up is so they're probably the thing is that I don't understand how the signal connect the class emits the signal. So because obviously for checking if the mouse is on the position. Maybe this is the function that creates the pop-up there. Or this one actually. It's probably this one. So this one gets the information. It creates the as I can see but yeah. So this is probably for clicking. Probably right. Yeah, this is the one that actually opens there. So it's the other way around. This one opens when you right click. It's gonna show the options based on the file. Create new. Yeah, so. And this is another one that I was looking at before. So which one is the other one? Hmm. So it seems that the tree pop-up is the one that opens up, the one responsible for the options. Mouse selected. I think this one is the one that is gonna open the, yeah, this is the one that is gonna display the information probably. Maybe not, because of this. But maybe this is a false one is holding. But not sure if that would make sense. Here there is a connection between file system list and this other. So this one is the one probably that shows there. The when you right click, I think pretty sure that this pop-up is gonna be this one here because of the way that it works there. So I think they pass as an argument to the function because it depends on the file type. Depending what kind of file it is, which they determine by the control flow. File name size. Hmm. So, so when you press shift, it selects multiple. Yeah, so it changes based on the selection. So I think the files is probably to deal with this kinds of things, the selection. Maybe not. All it determines this file names. So this happens before. The tree gets selected. So probably on this one, but it doesn't make sense because also yeah, here select the strings, push. So it goes over this stuff here. So assume when you select multiple, it's gonna go over more than one time, and then it's gonna push to this thing here, which is gonna return there multiple paths. So this is based on the tree. So I was gonna look into the files again. And what is the other pop-up? So I should probably look into the item list, just what function do they use to put stuff there? I want to see the moment that initialize the file list. How does it select the files? I assume that this probably is going to be related to the editor process in the directory. That's what would make the most sense. So it's probably going to be add item or add. Yeah. Yeah, so imagine this is gonna be the file system directory thing. So it is related. So it seems that they loop over. So they use the editor file system. You use the editor file system the directory to keep track of the current directory. So it holds the state for the current directory and probably has functions to update the state based on different events and the notification of the different classes. Then they use that to populate the files. That's what's going on. You got this from the directory. So maybe I should I should probably convert the file system before. I just copy this. Also, I moved everything to this folder as well. Not sure if this is the best way to put it, but it's kind of hard to think about different directories and names. Hmm. And the problem is I already have the file system. So I should probably change to doc there. So I was thinking in the beginning that like I was gonna try to put everything on the same file. But I do think it makes more sense to it makes sense to have a class for like I still think that I'm gonna try to like I'm not gonna create another class just to deal with the file system list is the one that I think I can get rid of because I can just put the functionality on the file system doc. I think that makes more sense. But I think for the file system class, it's probably better to use another one. But I'm not really because like I think the main reason for separating is that it might be too much code to put on the same class. So I think that that would be the main reason because I'm not really sure if I decouple them if like I can make the file system like the version of this class here should be one I can use for everything, so a generic kind of class. And then the other, the doc, I make it more specialized for the stuff that's I'm gonna do there on the current thing. I'm not sure. And the question is whether or not it doesn't make it sense to I put everything on, I think putting everything on the same class doesn't seem right. Because it does seem better to leave the logic of the doc for one class and the logic for managing the system on another one. So probably, so I'm gonna do that. And then I'll think about as I build again. So the file system list I'm gonna try to get rid of. Yeah, so maybe I still do the file system list, but I build without the file system list first, just see how it looks. Because I still don't understand very well, like what is the point. And then if from that point after I build, then I'm gonna be able to see if if I feel like I need it or not. Just gonna change the name of this to doc. I'm gonna close, see if I can compile. After I do this, So after I create the beginning of the class here, I'm going to create another file, another class to have the beginning of the file system. And after I do this, I'm going to trying to go over with the debugger if it doesn't break for whatever reason. I have to put breakpoints on this one as well, because I lost the ones that I had before. So probably one here. This one I'm pretty sure that it has. This one is connected. Yeah, I think that this one is very connected with the editor node. So I'm probably gonna have to remove a bunch of stuff from this one. And maybe I'll try to do it without this other class as well. So just two of them. So try to do it without the editor file system directory. But maybe it might be. The main question is like how to simplify everything. The least things, the better. I'm gonna try to do it without this class. This one, I remember, like this is a file that they put there as a cache on the project. So it's on the dot editor of the, I think it's the dot Godot folder. I don't remember really well the path, but I know there is a cache there on the project. That is this file here that saves some paths, I think. I don't know for sure. I don't know very well for why, but I know that they cache this file here because I looked into that before. So yeah, put the that's, that's changed. Yeah. This is very annoying. That's the problem with this thing here. It still works, but it's giving me this warning now every time I compile. So the problem is that the scones doesn't like when you put the flag there, it doesn't clean everything. Maybe I should just see a yeah. Maybe I should spend some time trying to figure this out. It's kind of annoying, but because I couldn't find the flag here as well. I was looking for the flag. Because I think that I can't really compile, I can't really debug the build system. But maybe I can actually. If I put on the launch.json, the command should run the build. Maybe it allows me to put the breakpoints here, but I think probably not because of the symbols. So I'm not really sure. And probably the flag is from scones and not sub. I'm gonna search for scones C flag. I want to see if there's a way to remove all the because I'm pretty sure that the warning there is because I have the old PDB files, which are library files, and they look for the other directory, but I'm not really sure. Maybe let me try to The problem is that like the second time you run, I think it doesn't show the warnings. It's only when you change something, because I think that it has to compile again. Then it shows these warnings here about the library is not found. It's probably because of the third-party libraries. One thing that I was thinking about is like create a Python script to delete everything. So like looking to here is how to put the flag there, how to look for the flag. Maybe I can create a new one, and then you put a condition here. Because I'm pretty sure. So you can get the arguments that you pass there, the key value pair arguments. Yeah, I think if you pass flags to scones, then it's gonna be scones built-in flags, not the project flags. And if you pass key value pairs, then it's from Godot. Pretty sure that that's how it works. So everything you pass as a key value pair is gonna be related to the way that you build the construct file, and everything you pass as a flag is gonna be related to the scones configuration, or the way that these scones work. But I think one solution would be to create another key value, another argument. Alright, so you get the arguments with this. I think I can create like another variable here and then like call clean or something. And then based on this, I can put a condition, and then if the condition is met, I can just probably use glob or os walk or something like that to traverse the directories and delete all the files. But I'm not really sure about this. Should probably save this first. I think I'm gonna search for these kinds of things later. After I stop streaming, should I? Because I'm gonna do cache. So it gets like this. So this gets the value of target. So it probably returns editor if the target is editor. So I can just copy the way that they did it here. How do I clean this stuff? I guess I'm gonna use Perplexity to search. So now it's taking a lot of time to build. Maybe it worked now that after I used the C flag with the other commander, it deleted everything maybe. Because now, like the previous time that I just used scones /c, it didn't, like it went very fast after I built. But now it's taking a lot more time, so maybe it worked. Should delete all the old files. But I wanna search more. This probably read the documentation, SCON's documentation more or again, so that before I try to do anything like creating another flag there to and then create another script to delete everything. Because obviously there's a chance that I delete the wrong files by mistake. That would be very bad. It wouldn't be like that big of a deal either, because you can just get the source code again and then pass the files that I have there again. But it would be annoying to figure out and to spend time doing this. So it's obviously better if I can find a solution that they already implemented. I'll be right back. We sure already looked into this some time ago. Just gonna load the thing from the package thing. I was gonna look into there is a I think a scan. There is something related to this on the editor node. So I wanna see. I wanna remember where it is. And it's related to the export thing there that I remember when I was studying that. So, but I don't remember really well if it is connected to this or not. I assume it is. It's probably on the notification, I think. I begin first scan. Editor file system, yeah. So this is the function. So both the editor file system doc and the editor node uses this scan function here. So I think that the editor file system is the bridge between them. And this is something I was thinking about as well, which is kind of annoying, which is basically, I think is based on the way that they design the editor. It feels very hard to think about a way to decouple the, like, because the easiest solution possible is obviously to always create a new class. And based on the structure of the editor, based on the structure of the engine, it kind of feels like forces you to create a class. So use object-oriented programming to encapsulate everything. Because it's a lot easier if you have one class that is responsible for the whole scene, because you can pass, it's easier to connect the different signals. And I think the main reason why is because of the cache. So it's like the difference in the states of runtimes. When you have different runtimes, you are going to synchronize them based on a cache system. So you're gonna write the data to a hard drive, and then you need to have a mechanism to write and read. And then based on the way that you structure that mechanism which most likely is gonna be easier to do when it comes to classes, obviously. So maybe not obviously, but I think that I guess you can cache based on function pointers or stuff like that, but I would assume that it's harder to read and write, to cache information based on functions and then connect the functions on runtime later from the cache. So I think for that reason, it makes more sense to create a class, and then because then it's easier to just cache on the scene the information for the class and connect the signal and stuff like that. But the problem with this is that it doesn't scale very well. But I think it makes some sense. I guess it depends on what you're trying to build, but it's not very good for creating generic things that can have like a high variance of different things you can do with. That's what I'm thinking about. So like, and the reason why it's kind of annoying because the way that I'm building things there, what most likely is gonna happen in most situations is that you're gonna have there is stuff that makes more sense to put encapsulated on a class, and then that becomes very easy to create the functionality, but there's going to be some stuff that makes more sense to use a function to connect. So whenever you have a situation where you need to connect nodes through functions, most likely what's going to happen is that you're going to have to couple them based on the signals or based on the names of the nodes. And then you're gonna have to put functionality inside of the class on the notification or something like that to find the other node based on the name and do stuff that way. So I think that this is But probably the thing that I'm gonna do now for this is gonna be to put the code inside of the class, the doc. So that's how I'm thinking about it right now, at least. So because I was thinking about like how can I on VS Code also they have this. I looked into it not very much, but just like superficially because it would take a long time to look into it. But I think that they use Node.js to write because VS Code uses Electron, which is a framework that allows you to use. It's basically a coding front end, but for applications, as far as I understand right now. So the way that they do it is very similar. So they basically, and I think obviously that's the like it's going to be a fundamental pattern. So whenever you have to remember a state, obviously you're going to write to disk, and then you need a mechanism to read and write from the files and to like translate the state between like asynchronously translating states on different runtimes through a cache system. And I'm not 100% sure how it works on VS Code, but on the editor is going to be based on the files on the it's probably going to be based it is based on the editor node and it is based on the config file of the editor node. But I was thinking about like at what point I guess like this is the main thing that is hard to figure out like a systematic way to deal with this because like you have to decide in which class I'm going to put this functionality that is supposed to merge the different parts of the scene. And this is kind of the problem because like it's kind of like trapped into islands because the connection between the islands can't be cached. That's the issue. So if you could hold the state of the data flow between the, you can cache the state of the data flow in some way between the different classes, then you could decouple the logic from the nodes, which would allow you to make them more generic. But based on the way that it is now, it's it forces you to put the logic inside of the class, which is probably what I'm gonna have to do now. So like inside of the FileSystemDock, I'm gonna have to create the functionality to save the state so that depending on how they close the scene from the last time, is going to remember the directory that the project was at, and then it's going to open from that directory. And it's also going to initialize the tabs and stuff like that, which is exactly what VS Code does. If they haven't opened anything, then it's going to be just empty the tabs, and it's going to have a button there on the dock. And I think that this functionality has to be, it's going to have to be coupled on the FileSystemDock, but I'm not really sure if that's good or not. I guess on situations like this where it's kind of generic, like it's something that's probably gonna any FileSystemDock needs to have this. I think that there is not a problem. Like this is not a problem. This specific situation, but I imagine that it is a fundamental issue because there are probably some situations where like you want the class to have a specific behavior, and then you're gonna be forced to put logic on that specific instance to deal with this kind of asynchronous runtime thing, and is going to force you to create to spend too much memory, I think, because classes are related to the memory. So I think now it's working without the warnings, so it probably worked. So like it becomes an issue. I think that for like it's very unlikely that it's gonna be. It's probably very unusual situations because it is related to how many things you're gonna do. But like the gradient that I talked about sometimes before as well is like depending on how much you're gonna use certain functionality, you're more incentivized to create like a specific class for that. But you don't wanna have to create a new class for every variation of that thing, because then it makes more sense to put that as part of the function instead of the class. So like, let's say, for example, you have a button, and then like, let's say every time you wanted to change a pixel from the button, you had to create a new class. That doesn't scale very well because it spends too much memory. Makes more sense to create a functionality inside of the button that changes the behavior. And I think that based on the structure of the engine on Godot, it forces you to. It doesn't scale very well if you want high variance. And I think that's the point about the difference between entity system components and then object-oriented programming. It's going to work on a gradient, and the complexity of the universe is going to be somewhere along the range. It's related to the density of matter in space-time, I think. And this is something that I think I'm not 100% sure about this, obviously, but I think that's how it works. And I think a lot of people don't understand this. Is that like when people say that LLMs are hallucinating, I think that hallucination doesn't exist. Like reality only exists in relationship to illusion, so they're codependent. So like what people call facts is just a high density probability. So it's like a funnel of information. So the lower density you have, the more it is classified as hallucination because it goes against probability. So like you can't really like you can't prove that an event's gonna happen only once in the lifetime of the universe because that goes against science. You don't have a sample size. So it's the same thing with hallucinations. Like the more unlikely something is, the more it's gonna be classified as misinformation or hallucination. And the more something happens frequently in relation to the reference frame of observers that creates a synchronicity, which is a symbolic representation of reality, which is the geometry of space-time, the more it's going to be considered as fact because it's solid. So it has higher density and lower variance. And the spectrum between them is going to be the electromagnetic field, which is a holographic projection. So computational density is going to determine what you perceive to be true or not. And it's always dependent on the state of the present moment, which is a multifractal. I'm just gonna copy without this stuff, I think. I'm probably not gonna use this. Format support. Format support. just gonna look into this. So I'm gonna copy this class and then I'm gonna erase everything related to the other one. And this one. The question is whether or not to copy this one. I'm probably gonna have to delete everything, actually. I'm not sure if it makes sense. I should probably delete everything and just copy function by function. It's probably a better idea. The other question is whether or not to make this a singleton. I'm not sure about this. Because I think that this is gonna depend on the nature of the thing. So like obviously if you create one thing, then it makes sense to make it as a singleton. But if you want to have several different things, then each one can have its own file system. It doesn't make sense to. I think I'm not gonna make it as a. I'm not gonna make it as a singleton. I'm just gonna remove and just leave the like build from the scratch. I think it's probably better. Oh, thread safe is also. This is gonna be annoying because I don't understand very well how they thought about the threads. Also, this is mutex. I think that is easier to understand the mutex one. The other ones I don't understand very well. If like there's something that I don't get that is happening under the hood because of the compiler, or because there's some situations where they put a macro that the macro doesn't do anything, but it does things depending on the conditions, which are depending on which kind of compiler you use, I think, or if you have the debug version. But those situations, I'm not really sure if it is not doing anything because like based on the if else statements, then it's supposed to not do anything. But when you step over or step into, it does go through some files. So I think it is. But it might be because of the version. So it might be because I have the debug version, and then when you run, it doesn't call those functions. But then what would be the point of putting them there? Those are the things that I don't understand very well. But mutex is just they get from or they have this. So they have a class that uses the standard class on mutex. And it's just a class that makes it easier to manage different threads by avoiding databases. It's a class that helps you avoid databases. But it is kind of confusing. Here, I think it depends on the OS, or it depends on the compiler. And the lock and unlock are going to be based on the memory model, or the memory operations you use with mutex. Which are going to determine how the data is going to be used. This is defined here. But I still don't. I'm not. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like when you snap into, it's gonna go on like these functions here to lock and unlock the threads. The issue though is how do you decide when you put the threads? Because at first you like might make more sense to put on everything, because obviously once everything should use trans, and then you just put lock and unlock whenever there's a situation where the data is to be accessed from different trans, can be accessed from different trans at the same time. But I think that probably that doesn't make sense. It's probably going to be based on first principles. It's going to be a gradient, so it's going to depend on the circumstance where you're incentivized to put trans. Remove this. So it's gonna start here. This is gonna be the callback. So it's just subscribing. Why does it do this thing here? It's passing this. I guess because like I should know the instance, but not sure if it's necessary. Oh yeah, this is gonna be called later, so it's confusing there. That's because of the threads. You have to pass this, and then you have to cast. So that's the thread finds the instance of the class, and then it runs the file system from there. This might be annoying if I don't do a singleton, because it might fuck things up. I'm not really sure. I have to see like how to clarify how to use this properly. Problem is that I can't really use the debugger as well. Should figure out or to clarify more of this because it's not gonna go over this thing here. So initializing multiple mutex with this name. Maybe if I search for a thread safe though. Here. Yeah. I guess it's just like using here. So probably when it uses the macro. Hmm. So why would it use this stuff? Doesn't make sense. I know for sure there is something to do with inheritance when it comes to threads because some situations I think that it goes over that class that it is initialized with a template. And this is static. Hmm. I should probably just step into or step over because spent a lot of time already just looking into this. Or maybe I should try to see, like I should put breakpoints on the places that uses anything related to trans to try to understand. And the main thing, I want to understand the reasoning behind why they are putting this and not just because obviously just when you understand the reasoning, that's I'm gonna be able to put there. So I should see if I can find any place that is set to this shifter. So it is an option here. Hmm. Probably what I should do is try to build again, passing this thing as true. Not sure if I should pass. Should probably just pass or try to pass. So I think it is true by default. Yeah, it is true by default. This is adding the variable to the variables thing. So it should be true. I think this is the place that I remember seeing. So these are the classes, the templated classes. I think this one is the one that I remember. Yeah, here. So uses the macro to determine whether or not it's gonna use std. I don't like that. I don't like it that much. Just very confusing. But I think it uses these functions on the build that I have there at some points. And I think this is probably related to the other macro there, but I'm not sure. So like this one is related to the other one. Yeah, so it is inheriting from, or it is including the class. Oh, yeah, so this one is this one. Yeah, so I assume, but it's weird because it doesn't have definitions. I think this. I think he's using this one. I'm not really sure. So this is defining this on the class there, and this class is the other one. But it doesn't make a lot of sense because it's not using this like anywhere there. So I assume he's using implicitly at some point. So maybe looking to the other class, like how it uses that run. It has this one. Problem is, I'm like if I comment out the macro there, I'm not really sure. Like it's not gonna allow me because it might still work, but yeah, if it still works, then like it's not gonna allow me to understand what is going on. This one is easier to see because obviously just calling the function. The thing is that it could be something that they just put there and like it doesn't do anything and it's like just whatever. That's the reason why it's kind of difficult to know. Because I think it was today that I was seeing something that doesn't make a lot of sense there. I think these kinds of things can happen as well. It's like not everything has to be like has to have a perfect reason, or sometimes people just forgot to, or they add it and then they delete it later. But usually I assume that there is a reason. It's just hard to figure out because it seems that there it doesn't have any connection. So I don't see the point of putting the macro there, because why would you declare the variable if you're not using? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless there's something like that connects the macro with the functionality of other classes, that's the other threads are going to use, the other thread class or the other mutex class, because of some static variable or something like that. So maybe you should try to. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT first what it thinks it is. Assuming this is true. So assuming this is true, it's gonna go here. And the other one is gonna go here. So it's gonna create thread sources. So this is this thing. I should look into this one to understand. So assume it's gonna run once, and then it's gonna call this, pass the callback function. And the thing is, like, I think that this class actually inherits from other one because it doesn't make sense to not do anything on the function. So the only thing that makes sense is that this thread class inherits from another one. Yeah, but it is not a virtual function. So, but like, what would be the point of calling this empty thing here? This is what I don't understand. Oh, it's because of the macro. Hmm. So there's a macro here. That's why. Hmm. So maybe this one. Oh. So maybe it could be the. Yeah, I think it's because of the macro. So because, and it might be wrong the way that VS Code is displaying this. I think that's probably the reason why it is kind of weird. Because it should be, so one thing that I can do obviously is sure, I'm gonna do this now. So I think the easiest way to see if it is using that or not is to print there on the macro. Because I'm pretty sure that it is true by default there on the build system. So you should be using these threads. So I think the thing that is confusing is that I didn't see these else here. So if you don't have use threads, then it just doesn't define anything. And I think it does this just so that it can compile. So it doesn't break. I think that's what's going on. And when you do have it, then it's going to call these functions here. That makes a lot more sense. But the other one still, maybe it is the same thing that is going on. But I don't think that's, maybe I'm missing the place there. Yeah, I think I'm missing so this is ours. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to see there. So that's what's going on. So that's the reason why it doesn't show anything here. When it defines, it's going to use the ones that actually have the functions. I think like it's kind of tricky because of the way that VS Code works. 'Cause I think it goes on the wrong definition. But like, yeah, because it probably depends. Like, I don't know how it works under the hood, but I assume that the way that is gonna structure this depends on the way that you have on the settings there on the compiler. So I think that there's a mismatch between scones and the MSBC, which is the compiler that I'm using, I think, on VS Code. So what happens is that it's giving is like hinting the wrong way because it doesn't know that scones is gonna define this. And that's what's gonna. But I'm not 100% sure of this. I think probably it is right. Yeah, because I've seen Go to this, but the thing is, this one is still. I think it doesn't matter because it's not using that variable. This one anywhere. And it's not using the macros as well. Also, yeah. So is this class, which is this one with the recursive mutex. Which probably comes from this. Oh, I do remember watching a video or something about this. Yeah, I think that the problem with normal threads or normal mutexes is that if you call a recursive function, they deadlock, I think, on some situations. Yeah, so depending on the control flow, I think you can get into a deadlock. So that's why you need the recursive one. Or it's something like that. I don't remember really well. So maybe one declares that macro is using this one. Sure. I'm gonna put breakpoints on this just to see what is going on. Use. I'm gonna print here. Here's this one. I forgot to want to comment this out. So I have to include this stuff there. I'm probably just gonna comment everything out so I can compile. As the that's- I was I'm not sure how to format using Boolean. I think these for digits. I'm just gonna try this anyway. I think it's gonna be 1 if it's true. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Yeah, I still don't understand how it works. So I'm just gonna go step over. Like it's unclear to me because like I understand what ChatGPT is saying there, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Or so obviously if there isn't anything that is explicitly doing anything, then it is something that the compiler is doing under the hood. And that's what I wanted to clarify. But like either that or it is not used for anything. So those are the two options. If it's not used for anything, then it means that someone put it there and then forgot. Like they changed something and then they forgot to remove. That would be my. Also, it's defined there. And so it does seem that it is defined, or maybe not. So it didn't run the code, so it means that it's not defined. I guess on the other thing, the other, it's easier to see here. So if these files should go through this. So if it's not defined, it should try to compile by passing the flag. You have to pass threads equals true. I'm just gonna press 5 again. I'm just gonna press a 5 for response. I was gonna look into or put a breakpoint on that rescan. So it just returns false. Oh, but that's gonna depend on the macro there, I think. I'm just gonna press. I'm more interested on the threads there. No. Probably what I'm gonna do next is just copy the update tree function and the create tree, And I'm going to remove the stuff related to favorites because I'm probably not gonna have that. So I'm gonna copy the initial stuff and then I'm gonna compile and see how it looks on the. So I have to put it on put it as a part of the scene. And I'm probably gonna do this from outside of the scene. Actually, I'm gonna do it based on the name of the icon there. So all I have to do is change the name of the icon on the icon sidebar class. And then it's gonna initialize with the file system class. So I'm gonna press F5 till I get your points where I got you something related to the trans. I want to just see the files as well. But now I think it's already know how it works. It's gonna initialize based on the other class there, the editor file system dir class. So at first probably I should focus on the editor file system first. Yeah, so copy. I need to write the functionality that I want to get from the beginning. So not sure if that's the best way to put it. So I think that in the beginning, that's what you have to do. So copy the functionality from the file system to get. The thing is, like, it's gonna be different because I don't want to be. But maybe yeah, I should probably start with the RAS directory because it's gonna be easier. So I just start with the RAS. So initialize get the files from the folder first, the RAS folder, resources folder, and then use that to initialize the other class, to initialize the tree. I guess this is kind of confusing because so I need to go back to the function there again. So I'm gonna spend time trying to understand the threads more now, and then I'm gonna go back to the first function there, the update tree, to clarify how, like, what is the connection? Because I guess like there's something missing. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to see. Maybe it's just better to see from the without stepping over, just from the source. Because it seems that the tree just creates an item in the beginning, but like how is it possible that it's gonna create without any linking to the actual thing? So I think it probably comes after. So on the control flow there in the middle, after it creates the first tree item, which is the root, it's going to update the state of that with the stuff related to the file system later. And I skipped that part now. But I'm gonna go back to that again later. I'm just gonna press F5 to get to a place. Because I'm more curious about the threads, because I think that's the hardest thing to clarify there because it's very confusing with the macros, and I wanna make sure that I understand that as I'm building the other class. Like as I'm copying stuff and changing stuff from the editor file system, I think it's probably better if I clarify the threads more. The rest seems that it's not gonna be that hard to translate. So it puts here breakpoints. And this is the part that's gonna initialize the other class from there. And that's the part that I was going over before. It's gonna initialize file system list with this. And it's skipping this now. And next time we'll stop intro. This one is probably the one that I'm gonna use in the beginning there. Because it calls with no uncollapsed paths. So it's creating the first item. So, so this is the first one that created on the other function there. This is the root. Yeah, now it's gonna update the name of the thing. So I have to see on the editor if there's a folder. It's probably gonna be the root folder that has the rounds thing. So I would assume that it's likely that it's going to use this one now to create the other subfolders. Doesn't go anywhere. So I'm just gonna press F5. I'm gonna press F5 a bunch of times. Just go really fast on this one. Doesn't do anything. Oh, fuck it. Yeah, so this is the one that I want to just see. Oh, so it's not going to that place. So I think that's, but it is kind of weird that the first one doesn't seem it didn't run the code there. It didn't print anything. Yeah, so it should be, so this is, so I don't understand why it didn't print anything here, but maybe, like maybe it went through over the code, just didn't print. Because I'm pretty sure that it didn't show anything here. I guess it's because this is the debug console, so it probably printed somewhere else. I think if I use the print line, it probably would print. Because there is a difference there, I think, when you're using the debug console. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure, like, yeah, this confirms that it is going over this code, and it's kind of deceiving because VS Code doesn't understand that this is enabled. So that's the reason why. So I think that, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So it's going to be calling this function here on the other one, this callback. Yeah, so what is happening is that it's going to make the thread, the variable there equal to the std thread. So it's initializing the thread on the start here with this callback function. So this is going to be the function that runs on that thread. And here is the ID of the thread, so it's unique. Probably this is static, or this is atomic. A safe numeric. Safe numeric is a class that uses atomic, I think. Which is basically the same principle, just preventing data races by using atomic. I confused atomic with mutex before. So atomic is the one that has this memory stuff. But it's basically very similar. So I think this one is just, it does, I think it depends on the way which thing you put here. There's atomic operations, which is like, it runs all the steps at the same time, let's say, on the same, not sure. I think it can be on the same cycle, but not necessarily. Yeah, but it's basically like the same idea. So you acquire and you release in order to prevent. The one that is most confusing is this one that compares the value, and then it changes based on whether or not the value is the same. It does a check to prevent this from being updated as is being written. So get the value, and then I think it compares this one with this one. And if they are not the same, then it makes this one should be equal to this one. And the reason why is because there could be a difference in the way, like after you load here, another thread can write, I think. Then this one would be different. So it's basically preventing from exchanging with a different value. So I guess it updates this one with the value of this one. And then it changes with this one. And you should use this one when you're using a loop, which is the weak. And the strong one when you're not using a loop. And the memory model, I think this is both acquire and release. So This is the memory order is in order to prevent the compiler from reordering instructions so that it doesn't fuck up the data. So now makes a lot more sense. So that clears my mind on that. But I still don't understand the other macro there. I think that one's gonna be harder to figure out how it works. Because there isn't an obvious way to put a breakpoint or something. So user is the second element. It's gonna be the instance, I think, of the class. So this has to be true. Yeah, it is true. So this prevents from being unsigned. So prevents from, I think, after you initialize the thread, it has to be, it's gonna make it unsigned, or it's gonna make it signed. Yeah, based on the ID here. So I think this is gonna use an atomic to increment. This uses fetch and add. So this loads the value. It gets the address, I think, and then increases. And this prevents reordering because it's acquiring release and releasing. So it's like do the whole cycle, I think, on the thread. And this is the one that so yeah, so the user is gonna be the instance of the class, and this is the function that the thread is gonna run. So it should probably, I'm gonna press F5 a couple of more times, and then I'm going to start transferring. I think I should start with the file system before. Maybe I do the constructor and just the update tree, and then I remove stuff that I think I'm probably not gonna need. I think it should clarify how much. So I think that the most important function is probably the scan function, which it is related to this trans. I might have to spend more time clarifying this more to make sure that, because the thing is I'm probably not gonna make a singleton. So if this works based on the this keywords, it might fuck up with the threading. But obviously I can try and see. Like the biggest problem, not the things that break, is the things that work, but it could be wrong. So those are that's the biggest problem. And so I have to make more clear what exactly, like, beyond the beyond the scan function, what is the point of the other class? I just wanna go over this. Oh, this is interesting. Hmm. This is interesting because it's going over the threads. So this is gonna parse the cache file there. Some file that has some paths. And then it's gonna parse the file, put the data here, and then put it here. And go here. Scan the other. So I think that this is the first time that it's gonna go over the current directory. It doesn't really allow me to clarify what is the point of this thing. Interesting. So it's gonna put all the files here and go over here. So I think it creates a new one for every directory. So the point of the class is to manage subdirectories, I think. So like the editor file system is the class that has logic for the whole thing, and then the other one is like the one that has the state for each directory. I think that's the point of having this. The question is whether or not can I simplify this so I don't have to use this class here. Or if it's worth it to simplify or just easier to just get because I'm gonna have to restructure the functions as well. I think that's like probably makes it easier because of the like with the algorithms to traverse the subdirectories or to get information. That's probably the reason why they did it like this. Yeah, I do think that it makes sense. Because if you're gonna create pointers, then it doesn't make sense to create a pointer in the class that manages everything. So I think that they created this other class so that they can create logic based on the connection of the directories. So here's gonna call the function recursive. So for each directory, they create this subdirectory. What is it there? So if it is the current one, or it doesn't begin with. This is checking for the level, I think. Hmm. This is checking to see if the current directory is the same as the old one. So when you call change dir, it's going to change the dir access to that directory, which is the current one on the list here. So it's going over the directories based on this. And it saves them on a linked list based on the dirs. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be better to just get this class as well and then change this class to something else. Because otherwise it's going to be too much work to change everything. And also because I think it makes sense the way that they did it. Because it makes it easier to like structure the state of the different folders. So this is the current one. So first it loops over and gets all the files on the current directory. I think I understand. So each level it gets all the files for the level. And then after it loops over the directories based on the linked list here. So it changes to the current one. And then if it worked, then I assume it's gonna So if it doesn't work, it just prints this. If it works, you change to the current one, check to see if it is the same as the old one, or if it doesn't begin with the old one, because it's gonna nest the directory. So if we're going like deeper, then it's gonna begin with the previous one, I think. So if that's the case, it's gonna change to that directory. And then what? It's just gonna keep looping. I don't know. This. This is probably the progress bar that shows up there on the editor. Yeah, I'm 100% sure that's the case. I think it just goes to the next one on the list. And then here it recurses. So it creates a new subdirectory, then creates the link between the subdirectory and the parents, and then it calls the function recursively. So it's gonna get the new files from the subdirectory again. So here, and the question is what happens with the files here. I think each time it's gonna put the files on a different vector until it backtracks and then continues. So here it's gonna loop over the files for each level, I think. So this is gonna be the path to the file. Check to see if there is a cache. So at the end of the day, it's gonna put everything on this. I think it's gonna put the file on each level for each one, I think. So it's gonna put all the files for the levels on this vector here, which is based on the other class. So it probably makes sense to just get this class as well. So just translate this class there, because I think I understand what. So they created this class to make it easier to organize the levels of the folders. Then on the other one, probably is gonna get based on the folder. It's gonna do the same thing because it's gonna recurse. So here is getting the current folder, I think. But the current one. So the question, I think the file system on this one is gonna be the root of the linked list that connects all the other ones. Gets up there. Yeah, it's not sure if this makes sense. So this is the first loop there. So imagining that from the first time. So this is gonna be the first subdirectory, and then it's gonna push to a subdir here. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here because I'm already tired, and I'm gonna spend more time off stream stepping over still, and then I'm probably gonna start. Just gonna do the initial thing here. So just gonna copy the. I wanna see if I can clarify more the threads, but like yeah, the main thing that I don't understand still is the macro here, but the other parts now is more clear. It makes sense because of the macro that defines whether or not the like which class is going to be used there. So it does make sense because it is defined if you have the macro, if the macro to use threads is true, then it defines the functions. Otherwise, it's probably just to compile, to make it compile. But I don't understand this one very well. But probably what I'm gonna do is copy the functions that I think that are most necessary. So I have to see, I'm gonna write down the functions that don't depend on anything else. And I'm probably gonna, I think it does make sense to have the other class there because it makes it easier to manage the states, I think. So like this one encapsulates the state for each folder, and the other one is it handles the state of all of them, I think, combined. So I'm probably gonna translate this one first because it's the one that has the least dependency on other stuff. So I'm just gonna change the name of this. Yeah, yeah, that's the first thing I'm gonna do. So change the name of this, see if I can compile just by changing the name of this. Then once I do this, I start thinking about the other one. And I'm gonna try to see, like, get only the functions that I think are necessary. But I might have to, probably, I think most likely not all of them because some of them are only related to the editor node. But I might have to get all of them and just remove all the parts related to the editor node. But I'm gonna do one by one and try to do from the ones that don't have dependencies. And then if there is any problem, I'm going to talk about it. But probably next time I'm gonna still, because I'm not gonna do much, I think. So next time I'm just gonna continue to do this stuff here on string. So translate the classes and try to make it work there on the thing that I have. So see you next time.